What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and this one I want to break down what's going on with the overall market, break down some very important pieces of news that just came out, and what the technicals are suggesting for Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and all these different tickers. But before I begin to all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. So anyways, looking at the data that came out, everything was very close to expectations except for the 7-year note auction, a little bit below expectations. Besides that, there's not any more pieces of data coming out until tomorrow morning. So we're kind of cleared when it comes to data for the day. I want to break down some very interesting things going on the charts, and I'm going to talk about some news for Tesla. So as far as SPY goes, this was a pretty boring day, very stationary. It's been bouncing back and forth between, I mean, it did touch 476.5 for just one moment, but for the most part, it's been stuck in the 477s, going back and forth and back and forth. But some tickers are kind of weak, like Tesla, because we got some negative news that came out. That's what happened for Tesla. And the rest of the market is actually quite decent, from Aapl to the QQQ and Nvidia, holding up quite nicely. So, from a technical standpoint, SPY is on a nice uptrend, making higher highs and higher lows. Today was a very stationary day, but there could be more upside still coming. Once again, guys, I do think that the market's forming this rising wedge. I do believe that, we could see another push, especially for tomorrow. But ultimately, as we approach January, there's going to be a big test for the first week, and we might see the market pull back soon. So, just as a warning sign, there could be a pullback coming sometime in January. It could take 1 to 2 weeks into January for the pullback to come. But for now, SPY is continuing to uptrend. It's still on a bullish trend, and we could see some upside going into the later days. We're stuck in the 477s. Watch support at 477, 476.5, and 476. Then for resistance, watch basically 477.5. Then we have 478, and if we break 478, we could get very close to 480. Now we have this rising wedge, so be careful. But as of right now, SPY is holding up. I do apologize, guys, for forgetting to mention Tesla in my earlier video from the morning. Tesla is actually not looking too good. So in the beginning, Tesla was holding up very nicely on top of this yellow trend line. We got a break below it. We retested it. Then we ended up breaking back above. We were trying to hold it, looking very strong, trying to hold it. And then we ended up getting a big rejection back down. This was very sad because at first Tesla was trying to hold up, and then we ended up failing to even hold 258. Our next level is going to be around this 254 area. But below that, we have 252 coming. Why is Tesla so weak? Well, we had some negative headlines coming out. This was just updated. So this news came out after market closed yesterday, but then we're starting to see this making a lot of headlines. 2 U.S. senators called for Tesla recalls after the Reuters investigation. There's also this headline that keeps coming back about, a robot that attacked an engineer. That's very, very sad to hear, but it wasn't necessarily an Optimus bot. I know they're showing like the picture just to trick people, just to get people scared. It's actually what actually happened was this happened like 2 years ago apparently, and it was one of the manufacturing robots. So with one of the assembly robots, there was an incident. Very sad to hear. So that's some negative news technically, but this isn't like the biggest thing. I saw this coming out since yesterday. Today, it's starting to make a lot of headlines too, and this is just more negative news. And we're continuing to see more news about this. This is making lots and lots of headlines, especially today. So even if news comes out tomorrow, sometimes Tesla could react the next day if more mainstream outlets start talking about it. Basically, these senators are saying that Elon Musk should recall a bunch of Teslas. They're slamming him for blaming safety issues on driver abuse and this and that. Once again, guys, that's not entirely true because this was based off a Reuters investigation, which Tesla helped to debunk. But ultimately, news about recalls and criticism about Tesla's safety and their suspensions is not good news whatsoever. And with these more suspension issues that were once again released, the headlines are coming out right now, even today, about how Tesla has these issues. The senators are saying there needs to be a recall, and that is hurting Tesla so far. So watch support at 254. If this fails us, there's going to be 252, then 250. Tesla was holding up very nicely for the first few hours, trying to hold above the yellow trend line, but we failed, unfortunately, and we're coming back down. Look for a bounce, especially going into tomorrow, but for now, we're not going to worry about that. We are looking kind of bearish, so now it's going to slow down. I know it was looking bullish in the morning. It was holding up very nicely, and it ended up failing with all this negative news. So it is what it is, guys. There's not a whole lot we could do about that. But watch support and see if we can try to hold 254 and 252, at least for the time being. For resistance, don't forget to be watching this zone right here, 258.5. Then we have 258. Those are two levels that are very important. I think that Tesla is looking kind of weak. It could sell off a bit more, but going into tomorrow, things could change a bit. For Nvidia, in my opinion, is still looking quite decent because we got a nice push up for about 499. So we came very close to our targets of 498 to 500. And we're still within the realms of this rising wedge. So you can see we hit the rising wedge. We're going up and down, making higher highs and higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. And we're going to be looking for one more push up right here for that 498 area. If we try to get up to 498 to 500, but it already reached the target. So at this point, Nvidia might just range trade between 495 and 498. I'm going to be watching to see how it holds this rising wedge, but ultimately I see some downside coming, especially going into next year because we have a rising wedge and there's ultimately going to be a rejection very soon, especially between 498 to 500. We did reach that range already, so we'll see if Nvidia gets this rejection and it starts cooling off. If you want to turn bearish, you want to see it lose 495. If we lose that, watch it come all the way down to 492, eventually 490. I think that there's going to be rejection soon. It may take another week to get there, may happen next week. But for now, we're kind of like holding this rising wedge, could maintain this rising wedge for an extended period of time before we get a sell off later on. For Aapl, I just want to mention that Aapl, in my opinion, is still looking decent because we got this nice little breakout from the falling wedge, but we failed to hold above 194.5 ish. Now we're still trying to hold 193.5, which is decent. So Apple's on a slight uptrend, making higher highs and higher lows. We want to see if Apple can continue to push up after getting a victory in the Court of Appeals. So can we try to break above 194.4? Or are we going to be stuck between 193.5 and 194 to 194.5? So I think we're going to be just range trading, just stuck within this range for the rest of the day. And going into tomorrow, we'll see how the end of the year treats Apple. This is going to be very interesting. Finally, for the QQQ, this is also looking decent because we had this rising wedge like power starting to break a little bit below our support now. So it's showing a little weakness. It just got barely below 412. We're going to be watching to see if we can close above 412 or not. If we close very close to it, we're going to be decent. But if we start breaking down, this could be our break from the rising wedge, either starting tomorrow, if not by early January. And we might see this thing start to retrace back down to fill some of these gaps. We also have 408s to fill. So there could be a rejection coming to tech very soon. Tesla is playing a big role in causing this, not to mention Nvidia, which got a small rejection. But watch and see, can we get a close above 412 or not? If we close above it, there's going to be hope for it to try to hold up for another day or so. If we close below this, there's going to be a risk of it coming down towards 410. So just be careful, guys. We're just barely below 412, and we'll have to see how it goes. With that being said, I want to thank each and every one of you so much for listening. Please have an absolutely spectacular, blessed day. I'll see you guys very soon for the afternoon update of the day. Thank you and peace out.